Welcome to the Yukon and North 61. Sometimes public opinion gets it roughly right, and I wanted to talk about the 358 Winchester versus the 308 Winchester. Why did one of them become very popular and the other one die the death? And is there any justification in such a thing? So in 1988, I moved to Nunavut, Pond Inlet, as a teaching job. And I brought two rifles with me. One was a Remington 600 and 308 Winchester, and one was a Remington 700 that had been rebarreled to 358 Winchester. It had a 20-inch barrel. And I hunted a lot with those two rifles. And surviving my cull, I'm going to do a big rifle cull. Two rifles I'm going to keep are two Savage featherweights. And this is a Savage featherweight pre-million in 308. Shoots about 1.25 inch groups with the right kind of ammo and 3-inch groups with the wrong kind of ammo. But with the right ammo, I'm getting 3-inch groups at 200 yards, 4-inch groups at 300 yards. I mean, pretty damn good accuracy. And I use this 308 a whole lot for caribou. Sometimes I misspeak. That Savage 99, I haven't shot much with it, but my 308 that I took to Nunavut, which was a Remington 600, I killed dozens of caribou with the 308 caliber, is what I meant to say. So I've got a lot of experience with that caliber, with that ballistic level, with 150 and 165 grain bullets around 26, 27, 2800 feet per second. So this was introduced in 1952, commercialized, and it took off like a wildfire. The 358 Winchester, here it is in another featherweight. This is just barely a post-million. So it's lacks some of the refinement, including an aluminum rotor instead of the nice brass rotor. It's in 358 Winchester. It came out 3 years after the 308, and I use this a lot as well. And I killed dozens of caribou. Once again, I've killed dozens of caribou with the 358 Winchester, but it was in my old Remington 700. Again, this featherweight is fairly new to me, but it shoots the same weight bullets, the same speed with both of these firearms, and this is what I found. The 358 Winchester certainly has enough foot-pounds. It's got about 10% more energy than the 308 because it shoots bullets about 10% heavier the same speed. So it's got a little bit of a ballistic efficiency there. It's every bit as good as a 348, plus it shoots pointed bullets. There's not a lot of pointed bullets, but one bullet is a really good bullet in this rifle is a 225 grain Nosler partition. It's got a good ballistic coefficient, keeps its speed up pretty well, shoots pretty flat. But here's what I found, the main failing with the 358. When you get out to long ranges, past 200 yards, you start getting really low velocities and the bullet upset is not much. And on thin-skinned animals, it doesn't kill them very fast. The advantage of it is you've got enough energy. This is actually bison legal in the Yukon. So for smaller big game, like deer, caribou, I found the 308 killed better. People don't quite believe that, but that's what I found. I found that the 308, with its faster speed and more bullet upset, killed animals faster. I did some amazing execution of caribou. We could shoot 5 caribou, and I would sometimes go out and shoot 5 caribou with 5 shots with a 308. Boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, they would drop when you hit them right. 358, they'd run a bit. Even at 150 yards. You just didn't have the bullet upset. What you've got with this rifle, if all you hunted was moose, a 358's a little better because it shoots a 225 grain bullet about as fast as a 308 shoots a 200 grain bullet. And if you keep your ranges under 200 yards, the 358's a little bit superior. But for smaller big game, you're way better off with a 308. The trajectory, surprisingly good. And the rifle has also about 10-15% more recoil. Not too bad at all. But for all-around use, I think people who mostly hunt deer, deer is the #1 game animal here, caribou, sheep. 308's got about 100 yards of bullet upset or more. It's got about 50 yards on wind drift. It's got about 50 yards of trajectory. It's 30-40 yards of trajectory rather. It's just a better rifle, certainly in open ground, than the 358. And for the average hunter, I think it's a much better rifle. 10% less recoil, better long range bullet upset, better trajectory, better wind drift. Okay, let's detail this a little bit better. This is a 165 grain Nosler AccuBond in the 308 at 2,700 feet per second. And it's a 225 grain Nosler partition at 2,400 per second in the 358. Those are two good standard loads. And you'll notice that the 358 gets a little bit more foot-pounds, and it hits that 2,800 magic minimum for bison up here in the Yukon. So you can actually use that as a bison rifle. But past 250 yards, not much to choose. Where the 308 really leaps ahead to me is started at 2,700 feet per second. It's got 300 more feet per second with a bullet with the same sectional density. So basically, if 2,000 feet per second is kind of a good minimum for creating a lot of bullet upset, the 358 runs out of that at 200 yards, and when you're shooting past 200 yards, really slow kills. Even at 150 yards, slow kills. Where 300 yards is more of the range of the 308 for getting good fast kills. Point blank range, when both are set up for 3 inches, no more than being 3 inches up. The plus minus 5 inches, the 308 will take you to 285. The 358 goes all the way to 255 yards. So, it's only 30 yards behind in this particular example, but that 225 grain Nosler partition is about as good as you can get in the 358. 308 has way more bullet choices. And wind drift, you can see the 308 has about a 50-yard advantage. So all in all, I think it's really that bullet upset is the biggest difference when you're looking at big game animals, caribou size or smaller. On the other hand, you get better penetration with the 358. So for moose size animals, it starts to get a bit better. But how many people actually hunt moose? As long as you keep the yardage under 200 yards, that 358 is pretty good moose gun. But out in the open, you've got a 150-yard advantage of the 308, where it's going to expand its bullets about as well at 350 as the 358 does at 200. So if I was going to have one rifle for North American game, it might be a 308. I'd choose a 30-06 because it's got 200 feet per second more, but I might choose a 308. I wouldn't choose a 358. 358 is a boutique rifle. It's really good for certain things. 200 yard or under because of bullet upset, brush use. You can push it to open ground if you use a little bit lighter bullet, but it's a far more specific use rifle than a 308, which you can use all the way from gophers to moose. And the 358 certainly is a deer rifle, but 308 I think is a better deer rifle, a more versatile deer rifle, more versatile caribou rifle, and almost as good at moose. It's got a little better sectional density and it's heavier bullets, so it's actually starts to get penetrating as well. A little less energy, but for sure the 308's an all-around rifle. The 358, not so much. So I think the public got it roughly right. Because, a lot of times people have one gun. And if I had one gun, it wouldn't be a 358 Winchester, although I like owning one.